Welcome back to Norfolk Mountains, part 4, RAF Downham Market. No time to waste, come on, let's go!
Well, lockdown is finally finished, or part 1 of 98th part of lockdown is finished, and we're out and about again. Today's walk is COVID friendly as we can get. We're out in the countryside, and today's mission, we're going to walk down to the northeastern taxiway and explore the bomb dump that was there, with a bit of history as we go. Very historic place, but most people go rattling past at 70 mile an hour down the A10. So bit of history, bit of a laugh, but at least we're out and not locked down. Right, so we've come at least, well, a good 30 yards, and the first point of interest for us is this gateway I'm stood on, which is actually a hardened air raid shelter. During the war, this had been stacked some mud on it, probably a good 5 or 6 feet, not too high, because just to my right there would have been runway number 3, which was 1,200 and odd yards long, heading off into the distance. So couldn't build it too high in case it clipped a wing. Interesting point here, it's been chiselled away, but you can just see that the entrance would have been here, would have been a hatch in downwards. It might have been revetted in, but these ditches are dug after 1946.
RAF Downham Market was opened in July 1942, serving as a satellite to nearby RAF Marham. The airfield had 3 concrete runways, 36 pan dispersals, and was home to 1,700 men and 300 women. In July 1942, 218 Gold Coast Squadron was the first to move in with the Sterling aircraft. A year later, 218 was split and formed another squadron, which became 623, but due to the Sterling becoming slowly withdrawn from service, 623 was disbanded in December 1943.
Okay, so we're just about where the northeastern Perry track was now, where this road is. And in front of me here, there's a concrete road going almost diagonally across these fields, and there was 6 pans either side. And they were called frying pans because they were in frying pan shape. So straight across here, between 6 and 12 Sterling bombers, or you'd have had between 6 and 12 Lancasters on each of the pans. The distance between the pans was critical because they used to could be live bombed up here. This is why they're far enough away from the domestic site and anything else. So distance is key in safety, but there's a diagonal road straight across here with 6 pans on it. Now, if you believe in recycling, they used all the concrete from the pans and the runways for the foundations for the bypass on the A10. Okay, before us we have a bit of a dilapidated building, but as with any of these dilapidated buildings, they have a bit of history to them. This is heavy munitions fusing point, and this is where they used to fit the fuses to the cookies, which is a 4,000 pound bomb, which looked like basically 3 45-gallon drums all welded together filled with explosives. Quite a dangerous piece of kit. If they go bang, we saw a hole that they can make in Thetford Forest, so we'll visit that later on and tell the story of that one. But yeah, it's fused as close to the aeroplanes as possible, so obviously they don't go off en route. The interesting fact about this building is we know it was last used in anger on the 2nd of May 1945, because that was the last bombing raid carried out by the Royal Air Force. The target was Kiel, and 16 mosquitoes out of RAF Downham Market with cookies on the lot of them took off from here. So 2nd of May, 16 cookies were all fused up in that building. There you go. On the subject of the last air raid being on Kiel, it's interesting that the first ever air raid the RAF conducted was also on Kiel. So it got the beginning and the end, full circle, as they say. Right, behind me in this field here, World War II, the reason for Downham Market's existence was built in this field, and it was a 1,760 yard runway. Originally built as a diversion airfield for RAF Marham, because they found coming back from mass raids that the Marham runway could get blocked, so they'd divert them here. Being a diversion airfield, it was the second airfield in Britain to be fitted with FIDO. Now that's not some lame dog or fire-breathing dragon, but fire-breathing it certainly was. Either side of the runway you had pipes and nozzles, and they'd force petrol through the nozzles and they'd light them up, and it was for dispersing fog. Absolutely must have been an absolutely awesome sounding sight to have fire burning the fog away. And it's not like modern day fog. This was like, ask your grandparents what fog was. So absolutely a tremendous piece of kit, and it burnt 100,000 gallons of petrol an hour. So if you can imagine land coming back from a raid with a plane a bit shot up, going to your diversion airfield, and you're going to land in amongst a load of flamethrowers, well, that's a bit of a nip and tuck for any crew. 161 aircraft though landed here under FIDO conditions, so it saved a lot of lives, no doubt. There was only one offensive mission that we found recorded taken off in FIDO conditions, and that was on Boxing Day 1944. A raid led by Wing Commander Tubby Baker. So many honours would need a separate extension to this broadcast to fit them all in, and we will cover his story and Dennis Witt's story in a further episode, because they're truly remarkable characters. So they lit because they had fog over the Ardennes and fog all over the south of Britain, they lit the FIDO up so they could get 20 Lancasters up to go and hit a place called St. Viths. The raid was very successful, and it stopped the German armoured column at St. Viths.
So what you're looking at now is a culvert, and around the culvert is where they stored all the bomb making stuff. So we're going to go for a walk down, we're going to walk into the culvert and see if we can see the arming points.
Right, so we've made our way down to the end of our walk today. This is where we think there was an arming point for the 1,000-pounders. A Lancaster would normally carry 14 of these on a row, so it's quite a busy place when a raid was going off, because you got 14 times 15 bombs to load up. And they also had to load them up once they fitted the fuses. They also had to stop them arming, which was done by a little propeller thing, so they had a little key to stop them going round. We're not quite sure if this is the right place. We've got a bit of concrete down over there, but it's very muddy down underneath, so it might have been reclaimed for something. And a weird thing here is this bank's covered in cockle shells, which means it's either a very high tide or they suffered from overactive oyster catchers.
Here we are in the bombing up point, where the armourers would have prepared all the shells.